Welcome. This is our new podcast that we're doing. It's a weekly roundup of all the immigration news where we go over some topics, discuss some of those things in a little bit more detail, and sort of give you a weekly dose of immigration. If you want to just capture all your immigration in one place, this is a good place for it. All right, so today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're talking about the United States border with Mexico. We'll be talking about the H2B Cap. We're talking about refugees and the new cap on refugees. We'll also hit the November visa bulletin and discuss a little bit of the India green card backlog as well. We'll put some timestamps down below if you want to jump ahead to your favorite topic, but let's go. All right, so the United States announced recently that they're going to be lifting the travel ban restriction which has existed along the U.S.-Mexico land border. Now, we've had travel bans throughout COVID, and these travel bans have been everything from travelers from India are completely blocked, from Europe we have the Schengen travel ban, which will be subject to most people unless you have an NIE. And then, of course, we also have travel ban from China and now also the Mexico border. So the government announced that they're going to lift the Mexican land border travel restrictions. Now, prior to this announcement, the land border was for essential travelers only, okay? Essential travelers have been defined as individuals in the agricultural industry, international trade, business people, and of course, all U.S. citizens coming into the United States from Mexico. What's happened is they've decided to go ahead and do all travelers, non-essential, so long as you have a vaccine proof or a vaccination card. So the November announcement, which will happen in November, it's coinciding with the November 8th date for European travelers as well. It seems as if the policy with the Biden administration is so long as you prove you're vaccinated, we're going to go back to travel as normal. Now, this is a great thing overall for the economy of the world, the United States in particular, because so much business travel is small. I have so many clients that have contacted us. I have a meeting. I have something of this sort. I'm coming on my tourist visa. We've had people we have to just get in and explain their meetings just to get them through the airport. It doesn't always work. In fact, getting on an airplane and coming here from Europe has also been restricted. So over this travel ban period, we've been doing a lot of work for people who might have been essential, who were doing things that are important, but they couldn't fit into one of the categories that the government had described, and we couldn't get them into the United States. On the land border with Mexico, there's a ton of that kind of behavior. There are hundreds of people who come from Mexico as buyers. They come to the United States fashion markets. They go to other markets like in Texas where they have the rag houses for vintage clothing and for other things. There's tons of commerce that happens on a very small scale where individuals have not been able to come to the United States and engage in that kind of commerce. So opening up the land border to non-essential travel is going to be a very, very big deal for small businesses, and it will increase commerce throughout the United States, especially in those border towns. I also think we're going to see an increase in people being pro-vaccine. I'll be honest with you, I think being vaccinated is very, very important. It seems to be the #1 way for us to handle this pandemic, and for the Biden administration to make that an incentive for travel is nothing but good. Good news coming in November. We should see some changes soon, and of course we'll update you here. Some recent news we have is involving the H2B annual seasonal non-agricultural worker visa cap. All right, it's a mouthful. Every year, the United States has 66,000 individuals who can come to the United States to work in non-agricultural seasonal work. Typically, this means individuals who do not have a degree but are engaging in skilled labor. You can look at seasonal non-agricultural work as ski lift resorts. Big. They use this a lot to bring in people from all over the world, representing different countries and different languages. And you can also see it in types of peak load. Like I know in the oil and gas industry, there's different kind of demands and needs that happen specifically during the summer season, and they have needs for more workers. So USCIS announced that the 33,000 have already been reached. That means that they do a lottery twice a year for different seasons, and the lottery's already been reached for the 33,000, the half for beginning next year. That means that it's time to get ready for the second lottery. Now, getting ready for that second lottery for these small employers, we have a lot of these clients, is really difficult because You've got to go through a very detailed process of advertising, preparing your case, laying the groundwork for your workers, and then filing a document to the Department of Labor. This year, it looks like the filing period is going to be on January 1st, ending on January 4th. And after that, you're going to have to submit all the proof of the work you've done to get your case ready for the H2B visa. So the H2B visa is in high demand right now, especially in construction industries and in other seasonal industries as well, where they need workers from outside the United States because people aren't responding to the ads right now. Just a little bit of anecdotal evidence on our part is we do notice trends that come through by phone calls or employers contacting us, and one of the biggest complaints we've had over the last 4 to 6 months has been a growing demand for outside labor because there's not enough applicants. There's not enough individuals who are applying for the jobs, who are showing up to work, and taking the positions that these employers need. I've had it from every industry, from construction to any kind of event planning business or businesses that involve skilled labor putting something together to make a project. The H2B cap right now is already reached for 33,000. If you are a small employer and you're looking to bring in more people, you're going to need to get ready right away to do your advertisements, get everything up and running. Contact us if you need help, or contact an attorney, and I'm sure they can try and help you with your H2B seasonal load. Thanks. All right, so another news announcement this week has been that the Biden administration had raised its refugee cap. So refugees are individuals who are outside the United States trying to come in because they fear home. The refugee cap has been subject to political manipulation for many, many years. Most notoriously in the last administration, President Trump just cut it in half, and then on top of that just limited the amount of cases that could actually be processed. I think there was some number very low, like 11,000 that were processed, whereas in total the number that were allowed to enter was something in the range of 50 to 60,000. Biden announced that he's increasing the number back to what it was before, up to 125,000 refugees who are allowed to come in. When you hear this, you need to really keep in mind what we're talking about. People from Iraq, Afghanistan, all those people who helped the United States in Afghanistan, those people are refugees. They're outside the United States. They're trying to come in because they're afraid for their lives. So the refugee cap at 125 is actually a program that belongs at that place, and it's something that, as the United States, we've always promoted and had. But I do want to make a big point here, and that point is that the Biden administration took so much effort to increase these refugee cap by doubling it, 65,000 new permitted, and at the same time has done absolutely nothing to help the backlog on EB cases. In fact, last month we lost 80,000 green card cases that were not used simply because immigration failed to make the interviews, process the cases, and didn't put enough emphasis into doing that. They knew the annual number. They had a year to deal with it. And with this president, they've had 10 months to deal with it. And the fact that USCIS let 80,000 visas go to waste is a tragedy. It's a tragedy because there's real human lives behind those visas, working on H-1B, getting there for 6-7 years, and they're wasting time. And they're waiting and waiting and waiting in a legal process. So when I see that kind of stuff happening, I really can't help but raise my voice against what I think the Biden administration has not done. And they need to put some emphasis on raising that cap. And speaking of the EB backlog, we're looking at some more bad news coming up. Essentially, there's going to be a retrogression for India in the EB3 category in November of 2021. In what we do every month is we get something called the Visa Bulletin. And the Visa Bulletin sets the date for cases that are allowed to be processed during that month. What's happened is the date for India in the EB3 category is January 1, 2014. And the news that sort of leaked out is that date will go backwards in November. This is creating a whole nother level of tragedy for human lives. And when I say tragedy, I really mean it. People spend tens of thousands of dollars to get these green cards. They stay here legally, they have jobs, they're working, they pay taxes, they own homes. They do all these things, and then to file their case, and simply because immigration can't get it done in time, they might possibly end up floating for months, maybe even years. This is what's pending, what's about to happen in November. Individuals who filed their case over the last few months and are waiting for their green cards to come, if they are not approved by October 31, those individuals in November will immediately go into a place where they're waiting. They will not be allowed to get a green card. They'll be told to wait. That waiting period can go for months, it can go for years. We don't know yet. But the point is, they spent thousands of dollars. They did their part, but immigration isn't doing their part. They're not finishing the cases. And we've done a deep dive on this already, and I'll give you just the tip of the iceberg on that. The study that came out last month talked about why immigration was so backlogged, where they get the same amount of cases per year, between 8 and 10 million, but the backlog has increased 80 to 100% in most of these cases. It's been errors by immigration. They increased the number of questions asked. The form length went up. They increased biometric requirements. They doubled and tripled the amount of work for each case, but hired no new staff. In fact, they lost staff. And as a direct result of that, immigration can't process cases as fast as they used to, and has done nothing to come up with the answer to that. So going into November, with the EB3 being retrogressed in India, it's really going to be the makings of yet another part of this story that has been nothing but negative. Individuals who paid, waited, and are standing in line are going to be standing in line again. And sometimes it takes so long, people have to go do some of their stuff again. They'll have to file a new medical evaluation, for example, or they have to update documents regarding their status or what they've been doing. So at this point, what we're seeing with the EB3 retrogression coming up is just another part of a storyline that's overwhelmingly negative. And it's caused a lot of negative feedback for the United States. In fact, what I see from phone calls and clients, and what I see out there in the Twitter sphere and the rest of the world, is that there are individuals who have been here a very, very long time, and they wait and wait and wait, and sometimes they just run out of time. Their kid could be 20 years old. If they wait another year, their kid becomes 21, and their kid becomes illegal. Yeah, that's right. And their kid doesn't get the benefits of getting a green card any longer that they're going to get, which involves them having a split family. A husband and wife might get a green card. Maybe a younger child will get the green card, but the 21-year-old will no longer qualify because they've aged out of the process of being within their parents' case. And this is what's called a new divide we're seeing, called documented dreamer. And it's going on and on. It's just another part of this story that people don't know. And some of this hits close. There's a doctor in Iowa, it's all over the news, that had been here waiting and waiting for more than 10 years. He's won awards. Hospital recognizes him. He's well recognized in northern Iowa in that community. He gave up. He just gave up. He couldn't believe that 80,000 green cards were wasted. He couldn't believe that him and his family couldn't get a green card after doing the legal and right thing for more than 10 years. So he left. He went back to India. It's a tragedy. I mean, these are really sad stories, and it really hurts our country. And we see some of that as well. I've got a client that was a chemical engineer. Same thing. He had a PhD in chemical engineering, and he waited and waited and waited. And I'll never forget his story as he kept calling and asking, why is this not happening? He couldn't believe the long wait he had to do, and he left. And this is not a new story that's unfolding. This is something that immigration knows about. Companies make campuses in Canada just to move their highly skilled immigrants over there. So at this point, what we see is the India green card backlog being very long. We see the sad stories of people giving up, and we do not see the government stepping up to help. The U.S. government's responsible here. If we really are a nation of immigrants, and if we really do support these people, why do we let them languish? Why do we let 10,000, 100,000 people spend 10 years in line and get nowhere? It's really makes no sense. And to ask that of professionals who have choices to move elsewhere in the world, who have choices to go to other systems that will take them in a minute. They'll take them in Canada in a minute. They'll take them in Australia in a minute. And they can get these chances to live their lives over there, but our government refuses to act. So at this point, the only thing we can do is pick up our phones and call the Senate and call your congressman and ask them to act on your behalf. We'll have some more on that for you coming up in the future. But at this point, I have bad news for you guys with the EB retrograde coming. We are out there advocating for our clients. We are out there advocating for immigrants, and we're out there for you. If you got questions or comments, if you want to know more about the immigration news, or you simply like what we do, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a comment down below. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. We put a lot of effort into giving information out to you guys, and we'd love to get your feedback. Stay safe out there, everybody. Thanks for watching our podcast. We'll be back next week. Bye.